In light of recent events and things that have happened in our DID community, I wanted to reach out to everyone and talk a little bit about what's going on. I have some thoughts regarding this presentation McLean put out about the self-diagnosis, the social media, and all of those things. Some of you who follow me on Instagram already saw some of the posts I have made where I said self-diagnosis is not a TikTok fad. It's not a social media fad. As a graduate student learning how to be a therapist, I've learned a number of things. One of the things that I have experienced with my supervisor is I'm always asked this question after a group or session that I have observed, and the question is, what do you see? And I have some problems with this question now because what we see may not necessarily be what is or what is there. There are many, many layers to things that are going on, layers to what people do, their motivations behind those things, and when we pull the content from social media and point fingers and say, see this is fake, this is not real, you're only looking at the surface. You're missing the layers. There are many systems represented in that video that were harmed by this approach, and they've all responded, and some of them have made some explanations behind why they posted what they posted and what the real meaning was and what was really going on, and we as professionals need to dig deeper before making these judgment calls. I'm sitting here in my car right now. I'm outside of Publix, and I had this thought that how can we bring our community together, show some support, some solidarity. How can we respond to some of these things? There have been some great video responses already, but I was really touched when I watched the video by Pixie when she went and got her cake for her diagnosis. And I thought, man, that would have been a great thing to do, to get a cake, and because most of us already know that we spent years. And when I say we, I mean everybody that's been diagnosed with DID, all of us in the community here, most of us spent years in the mental health system before getting our diagnosis. It took 8 years for me to get a DID diagnosis. I was diagnosed with everything else under the sun, ADHD, histrionic, borderline, major depressive disorder, PTSD, which some of those are accurate, some of those are not, and I remember this one doctor just being extraordinarily disappointed that I wouldn't check off the things that would have got me diagnosed with bipolar. It took 8 years to get the help I needed. My diagnosis was the turning point for my treatment. My diagnosis was the turning point towards healing. It was the turning point towards where I could start peeling off all of the layers of shame that had been painted on me my whole life. Having the diagnosis of DID has been very shameful for so many people, and there's a lot of people out there that related to the idea of, hey, yeah, it's shameful for me to have this diagnosis, it's shameful for me to have dissociative identities, parts, headmates, but as you go through the healing process and in therapy, the shame goes away, it melts away. And I'm no longer ashamed that I have DID. I'm no longer ashamed that I have dissociative identities or parts or headmates. I'm very thankful for my parts, because without my parts, we would have died. Without my parts, we wouldn't be here today. They helped us endure trauma. They helped us survive. And now they're helping us, become a warrior, in a sense that we are in a healing process. We've gone back to school, and now we want to enter this mental health community field to help other people. And so there's no more shame anymore, So when you look at these videos and tell people they can't have DID because where's the shame, you're negating the fact that there's healing that happened there. And that makes me want to ask, don't you believe in what you do? Don't you believe in the therapy process? Why keep us in the shame? Why do we have to stay there to have DID? Shame is the most horrific thing to carry with you. And if somebody has gotten rid of it, that should be celebrated. That should be applauded. You know, and as Pixie explained, like, she's not celebrating the fact that she had trauma. None of us are celebrating the fact that we have trauma. None of us are out here parading, oh, look at me, I can switch. So that's not what we're doing. You know, there's this need to know thyself. You know, when you've been through trauma, your identity has been stripped away, or it's never been allowed to form. You know, self-diagnosis that's going on here is people are figuring themselves out. And the problem isn't social media. The problem is that we still have a huge number of clinicians that refuse to believe that DID is a real, valid diagnosis. And I don't know why we're on a mission to point out the fakers. Every single diagnosis has fakers or people that malinger with it. DID is not unique in this aspect. Our energy and focus does not need to be, find the people who are faking it. Our mission needs to be, why do we still have clinicians denying the reality of this diagnosis? Many of you saw a video I made about talking to parts as part of therapy. Everyone needs to be addressed. And somebody from the ISSTD who wrote the original treatment guidelines made the comment, well, these are best clinical practices. Okay, great. Why aren't more therapists following them? Why are there still people out there that have therapists that refuse to follow best clinical practices? I shouldn't have ever had to make the video if they knew what to do. We're not here because we're attacking the establishment. We're not here to fight with ISSTD or with McLean or any of those people. We're here to be allies. We're here to build a bridge because there's been good work that has come out of these organizations. But the message isn't really getting out there. There's a lot of clinicians that don't even know the ISSTD exists. And that's the problem. The problem is we need to get the information out there, and we need to be a team together. And that's what we're asking from McLean. That's what we're asking from the ISSTD. Acknowledge that, hey, what this was harmful. We're sorry we hurt people. And let's just move on. Let's move on to doing what needs to be done for our community of people who are hurting. There's a lot of people that need to heal from the shame. And that's what we want to do. So in honor of Pixie, in honor of all the systems whose content was used without their consent, in honor of every single person out there, whether it's DID or OSDD, plural, multiple, whatever you identify as, whatever your diagnosis is, is we want to honor you guys. We want to celebrate you guys. We want to support you guys. And we're going to go buy cake. And we're going to write happy DID diagnosis on that cake. And we're going to celebrate the fact that we are in a place of change. We are in a place of healing. And we are going to celebrate the strength and resiliency of our community. And that's what that cake is about. So here's to celebrating healing. If you're a part of this community, I'd like to challenge you to go get your own celebratory cake, and let's just flood social media with our cakes. Hashtag DID Cake Challenge. Hashtag no more shame. Hashtag nothing about us without us.